My guest says he's obtained a police report of an incident at an Ohio elementary school where black students used violence to make their white peers pledge allegiance to Black Lives Matter.
Several students and parents at a Springfield elementary school upset tonight. That's after police say a number of black students forced several white students to state Black Lives Matter against their will. Gwyneth Falloon is following this story for us tonight and joins us live now. And Gwen, what have you learned?
Megan, the Springfield police report says the incident took place here at Kenwood Elementary last Friday at recess. Allegedly, a group of black students forced several white students to say Black Lives Matter. And if they didn't comply or tried to avoid the situation, they were chased down. Some even reported being dragged, pushed to the ground, or even punched in the face. On Monday, Springfield police were called to Kenwood Elementary about an incident that took place the previous Friday at recess.
Just because it's reversed, it's still not all right.
A police incident report states a group of black students forced a number of white students to say Black Lives Matter against their will. Those who refused or attempted to avoid the situation were chased down. The report says one student was punched in the head.
He was thrown to the ground.
He was actually one of the ones thrown to the ground.
Crystal and Daniel Haar have an 11-year-old son in 6th grade at Kenwood. They say their son did not tell them about the event. However, the school contacted them 3 days later.
I don't understand how it got as far as it did, because the teachers should have been paying closer attention.
Springfield police are currently investigating the incident. However, the Haars say their son is scared to go to school.
He's not excited to go to school at all. He's terrified.
The school has provided a statement saying they are aware of the incident and are, quote, committed to providing our students with a safe learning environment where they look forward to attending every day. No further information was provided, but the parents say more needs to be done and those in question should be held accountable for their actions.
I really feel like they should leave.
Those who tried to escape, as you heard, were assaulted and dragged back. Please welcome investigative journalist Andy No. Andy, did anything happen to these black students that demanded that these white kids pledge allegiance to Black Lives Matter?
Hi, Larry. Thanks for having me on. Just for clarification, the second video you played of the child being slammed to the ground was a different incident that I reported on. However, discussing what had happened at Kenwood Elementary. So according to the Springfield police report, now this is in Ohio, Springfield, Ohio, the incident had allegedly occurred on the 10th of February. And as the news package you played reported out, in the police report, it states that during recess, there were a group of black elementary school students who essentially kind of created a hostage situation with their white peers, in that their white peers were allegedly made to pledge support for Black Lives Matter, and the white children who did not comply, who tried to leave, were allegedly assaulted and dragged back and forced to do this Pledge of Allegiance. I contacted the school district, which is Springfield City School District, to ask them for comment. I reached out twice. They did not respond. So I also asked police if there is any video footage that they can release as a matter of public interest, because according to the police report, the black students who created this situation allegedly were also recording video. The police declined to release any videos pending their investigation.
Mm-hmm. So we still don't know what, if anything, happened to these kids. What about the white kids? Any real serious injuries?
As I'm looking through the police report, I believe there were no reported in terms of injuries that needed medical attention. So I guess maybe that's the silver lining. In looking through here, there were 4 black students who allegedly committed assault at this elementary school. The school has been very quiet, which is unfortunate. I think the bigger, I guess, analysis or aggregate narrative that I could discuss about is that this alleged incident takes place in a context where we've had now years of CRT and BLM propaganda essentially being directed at a younger and younger American audience. You can see that in the various BLM style literature that is released for children, such as A is for Activists. I'm thinking of even books aimed at children who cannot even read yet. And of course, going up, with every age, there's more and more of that propaganda programming. Most recently, we've seen very explicit grievance racial narratives being propagated in Disney cartoon programming, Proud Family in their reboot. So, if this incident happened, I'm inclined to believe that something like it happened according to the police report. The victims and witnesses were interviewed. That part of the report has been not released to me, but I wouldn't be particularly surprised if this happened. We're experiencing the fruits of years and years of essentially a racial grievance narrative being pushed down the throats of not just everyone, but in particular, it's aimed at young people and children.
Yeah, the narrative is that white people are oppressors and black people are victims. Recently, Andy, at a screening of the film Emmett Till, Joe Biden said it was horrible. There was a time when white people wanted to do vicious things to black people, and I'm paraphrasing, and he said, some still do. And I said, do you really want to go down that line, Mr. President? If you want to look at black-white homicides, and there aren't that many, most homicide is same race homicide, but every year, Andy, there are about 750 homicides between blacks and whites. 500 whites are killed by blacks, even though blacks are just 13% of the population, and 250 blacks are killed by whites, even though they're 60% of the population. And if you look at violent interracial crime, excluding homicide, and by violent I mean attempted murder, manslaughter, rape, or aggravated assault, there are roughly about 500,000 such incidents every single year. 85% of the time, it is a black perp, white victim, only 15% the other way around.
Yeah, the data and the statistics released by the FBI on intra and interracial violence in the United States is quite sobering. It's a complete 180 from what liberal and establishment media wants the public to believe. I don't know what the wider agenda here is. Is it to give credence to the racial grievances of certain ethnic groups in the U.S.? Is it to increase polarization? I don't know. All of it seems to lead down a bad path. What I can just speak from my own experience is that, this grievance culture has led to, incidents like what allegedly happened at Kenwood Elementary. It leads to people like Jussie Smollett lying about being the victim of racial violence. It leads to violence against certain ethnic groups being ignored, depending on the ethnicity or the cultural background of the perpetrators. All of it's really disgusting. I hate that we have to analyze life in this granular way through a racial lens.
What's that? The great Eldersky has a pair of my slippers in his baby brown libertarian fingers, and you can get a pair as well. Mine is in beautiful tan. You may want a different color. You can also get a different style. Also, there's now the My Pillow 2.0. This isn't that one. Mine is on order. But now there's the My Pillow 2.0. Even nicer than this one. There are over 100 products. Call the number on your screen or go to mypillow.com, promo code ELDER. And this is the 6-pack towels that work, meaning they are absorbent. They absorb the water, which is what you want towels to do. They come in different colors. mypillow.com, promo code ELDER, or call the number on your screen. Did I mention that there are over 100 products? And finally, this is the Giza Dream Bedsheet. Giza is in Egypt. It's where the finest cotton in the world is found. Different colors. Mine is in white because, after all, I am the black face of white supremacy, but you are not. You may want a different color. And, of course, they come in different sizes. MyPillow.com, promo code ELDER, or call the number on your screen.
It's the antithesis to what it means to be an American.
I couldn't agree with you more. I remember when, during the Obama administration, Eric Holder, the AG, gave a speech. And he said, when there's blatant racism, we got that. That no longer is something that's serious in America. We need to deal with pernicious racism. And Andy gave 3 examples. Example number 1 was the push for voter ID. Well, majority of blacks want voter ID. Supreme Court said that voter ID is a legitimate way of securing voter integrity. The second example he gave was that black criminals who commit the same crime as white criminals get longer sentences. And that's true. He referred to the U.S. Sentencing Commission to make that argument. What he didn't say is that the U.S. Sentencing Commission said that the reason for the longer sentences is that the average black criminal has more convictions than the average white criminal, and judges take that into consideration when they give their sentences, so the longer sentences are because of legitimate variables. But here's the third thing he said, and this is why it's relevant for our conversation, Andy. He also gave an example of pernicious racism, the fact that pretty much at any given school, K through 12, black boys are kicked out disproportionately more than other kids in the same school. And in the mid-'80s, Jesse Jackson filed a lawsuit against a school district, all white, Decatur, Illinois, because they kicked out some several hundred black kids who were fighting after a football game. Jackson filed a lawsuit, accused the Decatur School Board of racism. The school board noted all around the country, Andy, irrespective of the racial composition of the school board, of the racial composition of the principals, of the teachers, black boys were kicked out more because they were misbehaving. And this is a problem. He didn't want to just address the merits. He basically said the disparity had to do with systemic racism.
Yeah, well, I mean, bringing up the alleged negative treatment of black children at schools, in American schools, I think, there's legitimacy in that from a historical argument. But I think now that we're seeing a lot of administrators so fearful of being accused of racism that they're not applying discipline to instances when they really need to, involving children who are violent against one another or to other teachers. I mean, now with social media, we're seeing these videos come out basically daily from coast to coast in the US, from all the way, high school, obviously, all the way down to elementary school, of students being violent. And that another report that I worked on involves what happened at Cosgrove Middle School, which was a video that you played a minute ago of a freshman picking up a middle schooler, 11-year-old, and slamming him to the concrete. This video went viral on social media, and I was able to interview some students who are either at that middle school or the adjacent high school, including the bully, by the way. And what really stood out in that interview is that the bully, who's been suspended, by the way, for the remainder of the academic year, he says that he thinks his suspension was because of racism. And he's 5 feet 11 inches, weighs 170 pounds, and that boy is much, much smaller, as you see in the video. So this bully, who I'm not naming, has been charged with assault by police. But I mean, I didn't in the interview, I didn't see that there was any contrition, for example, that he could have potentially even killed this child, And the Cosgrove Middle School is near Ogden in western New York State. So the incident happened on February 13th. So, I have teachers and parents reach out to me to talk about actually issues of where their students or either their own children are subjected to violence at school by bullies or a bully, and that bully may happen to fit some demographic, let's say black in this particular instance, and the administration is really afraid to respond. And so, if we give these grievance ideologies like the best interpretation, one could potentially argue that they're trying to correct course and work towards better equality. But you're seeing, even in the best, if that was what they were wanting, and I'm not actually sure and I'm actually quite confident that's not the purpose of CRT and these other racial ideologies. Even in the best of circumstances, it's leading to this. It's not a course correction. It's actually almost trying to do injustice against other groups of people, as if that was a way to historically fix things that were wrong in the past.
Andy, last, you interviewed that bully who slammed that other kid down. What did he say was the motive, and did the bully's parents say anything?
The bully's parents, according to him, did not want to speak with me. And, well, he said his motive was that he believed that 11-year-old boy had did a diss track against his sister. Now, this is a sort of an adjacent subject, but there, within the rap subculture or culture, hip hop culture, there's this glorification of violence, of misogyny, of homophobia that really, it has such a hold on, I think, the minds of, Black boys and young Black men. And that's something that I think doesn't get discussed enough, whenever there are any Black commentators or writers or intellectuals who bring up this issue, they are completely sidelined. Right. We've seen that all over and over, but it's an issue, and it's not like the public has any reservations about discussing the issues with what the subculture breeds. I mean, the left has no issue, for example, going after Andrew Tate, and he's accused, and his lifestyle basically was a hip hop type of life, having women and money and access to mass wealth, and using women essentially as property, allegedly. And there was no reservations about criticizing that message. But for some reason, I guess when it comes from somebody with a darker skin tone than Andrew Tate, even though he's half Black, there's just this fear that, you can't criticize somebody else, Black people's culture and music, which I think is, that's pretty insulting to Black people, actually.
Yeah, and the other 800-pound elephant in the room that you can't talk about is the fact that so many young Blacks are raised without a mother and a father in the home. You can't go there either. Andy, no, investigative journalist, as always, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me on.
You got it. Now hit that like button because I know you like the show. And be sure to subscribe. We're trying to increase our subscriber base. Also scroll down, get on our mailing list, because every now and then, for reasons that escape us, our vids are not appreciated by YouTube. To make sure you do not miss any of our videos, get on our mailing list. Also, you see the donate button? Hit that, throw a little something in the tip jar. Make sure we can continue giving you great programming. And finally, Larry with epoch.com, Larry with epoch.com. I'm Larry Elder. This is the Larry Elder Show for Epoch Times. Remember, we've got a country to save. I'll see you next time.